begging for mercy, and I will never stop killing you. Oh
Hi,
shit.
Scarlet.
It's gaming, isn't it?
Yes,
No, I
it is.
said hi. I just said hi.
No! No! Gaming! 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 Thank you. Revive me.
What the
What? What happened?
Oh, he sniped me!
Da 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 ba ba da ba da da da. Alrighty, guys. Um, we're live. I know that I'm getting some things situated, some things set up so that I can see chat and things. Um, but today, I have a couple of things that I'm going to share with you. I haven't got the other video up for my second channel yet. I haven't even created the video yet. So, um, I just wanted to share with you guys that, I will have that probably, I probably will have that up later this week, um, for my secondary channel. Um, but we will have to see, um, how things are going to go for it. But today's going to be one of those days where we have a lot of news to get to. A lot more news than I probably will mention some things, not everything. And not going to tell you everything about some of these things. Just going to be maybe a brief um brief on some of these things. But I just want you guys to know that that um one of those things is that this week we have over the past weekend, we are not quite finished with this one, so we'll try to finish and maybe do one more haul. um I don't know how much I'm going to do. And remember, sometimes I don't get to all of my streams, not are always done directly straight through um my channel, my YouTube channel. Sometimes it's done directly through Twitch and things like that. So I just want you guys to know that at night, I basically have a thing where tonight's going to be zombies. So if you are wanting to catch that outside of my Euro Truck stream, outside of my news, you guys can always be followed here on Twitch. And if you're watching on YouTube, I don't post more than one video a day on it. I don't know how YouTube would like for it. For things on it. But I will tell you there's a couple other things that I'm going to share with you guys that um that need to be said. Is that we are at a at a loss for free speech. Okay. Um, that's gonna be the biggest one that I want to share with you guys today. Is that we are at a loss with our freedom of speech being taken. Um. Okay, so it looks like we do not go down. Um. Yeah, because normally I would have gone forward. I wonder what happens if I say that I'm gonna have to load back. We'll just load back from here. Um, because I can. I just was like, I can't. Driving in Japan's a little bit more trickier. Than driving probably just in general Europe or driving in America. With a lot of the road layout and the road network, the roads basically the way that the roads are set up, and the network being set up the way it is. Um, but we have a couple of things going on um for freedom of speech being there, and there's another one that you guys can't see on the YouTube side of things, but Twitch can see it. Um, but part of the title. Um, and for it. But there's a few things. For one, um, to basically come out and say this one's gonna be pretty short. Because I don't know much about it. I just saw like part of the headline or the title. I tried listening. I tried paying attention to the video. Um, but there's this thing where the Republicans have basically gone out and killed a bill for lowering healthcare costs. Republicans do not care about the healthcare um, in this country. The healthcare has become egregiously expensive. Um, I've come to being pretty much an egregious way of doing things in the United States. Where if I can literally I can tell you I can go down to Mexico. Okay, Mexico is a similar democracy. Okay, similar to the United States, except it's a similar. It's not the same, not quite the same, but um, Mexico has better healthcare. Mexico just instilled universal healthcare. Claudine Scheinbaum literally instilled universal healthcare for Mexicans, people in Mexico, and that's a good thing actually. Just got universal healthcare. Okay, that that means that they're going to have better healthcare than we will in the United States. That means that we as a nation should be following suit in some of these places. We should be having universal healthcare. We should be having some of the you know some of those things. Now, I'm not saying that everything needs to be from these other countries, saying that we should have completely having everything, but you know, but we should at least be allowed to have universal healthcare at least. Because universal healthcare is a thing that needs to realize that a lot of these companies, if they supported universal healthcare, if we had that, a lot of these companies would not have to be required to have health insurance. Okay, everybody would be able. Maybe they still have health insurance, um, but having a universal standard to give everybody, I wouldn't mind paying. Whoops, actually, I don't. Yeah, nope. We can't go. We're not even supposed to go that way anyway. Um, but having universal healthcare is a fantastic thing. Now, it's not perfect. I will tell you that universal healthcare is not always perfect. But what we should really do is at least have universal healthcare so that we can have reduced drug prices, so we can have reduced spending. Like, drugs in America are more expensive. Yeah, we might. I don't know if we are offsetting a lot of those drug prices from other countries, but I guarantee you, if we if these other countries did not have that exact same thing and were following like us, they would probably be in in a world of play hurts and places and things like that. But I don't know. But they wanted to kill that, and they want to even um, the Mamdani. They have a bill that somebody has a bill going on in Congress called the Mamdani bill, or I'm not quite exactly for sure the entire name on it. Um, but that Mamdani bill um, wants to get rid of being able to talk about communism, which basically you can't talk about Russia, then you can't talk about North Korea, you can't talk about those countries because they're a communistic country. You can't talk about China because they're a communistic country. Um, really dumb. That even scared me. I was turning, I was following the thing um on it, but it's um I know, um but one of the things that our free speech, like you can't even talk about socialism, you can't talk about um a few other things, and it's not right to being forced to not being able to talk about it. It's not right for us to not be able to. We should be able to talk about all sorts of things. We should be able to speak the mind that we want to speak and be able to have certain ways of doing things, being able to make those informed decisions on a lot of things, and making the ability to talk about these differences of culture and differences of opinion, you know. But with this bill, it kind of really is going to, like, I would literally would sue right after it because of the Constitution. The Constitution means we have the right to freedom of speech. That's a egregious removal of freedom of speech. We have a lot of places where books in libraries, public libraries, taking the ability away from um, taking away that freedom of speech for any book. I don't care whether like okay, yeah, not being able to teach a certain book in school because that's one thing. Having it in a school library may be a little bit different for that, but having it being removed at a publicly funded um library that's not attached to any school um is not right. Removing because of an LGBTQ book. Like I, okay, so then if you don't want LGBTQ books, then I don't want books of the Bible. I don't want books of any religious teachings in school. That's not right. Okay, or religious teachings in these libraries or anything like that. If you don't want to have LGBTQ in these places, then I don't want to see any religious texts or religious things in these schools. It's just one of the many examples. Like I don't care. Like I don't care if you have these books in school. I don't care if you have LGBTQ books. I don't care what you're teaching your kids. Kids need to have some understanding of what goes on. Uh, not every kid needs to, learn LGBTQ topics at a young age. Okay, but if it has, you know, but if it has some teaching on in a Disney movie, whatever, it's PG for a reason. It's parental guidance for a reason. Okay, those are the things that when it's rated for a certain topics and certain things. It's totally understandable that TVY7 or whatever, that's for 7-year-olds. It's for enough for a 7-year-old to go and watch. And some of those things are fine with in TV. Like I don't care about if it doesn't have LGBTQ in it or not. Okay, but I think we should be able to have at least both and be able to have the understanding of those things and not being uh, pushed uh, to censor certain topics because we don't like it. Okay, I don't like certain topics being done, but that's me saying that. That's basically you being here and saying, oh, you can't talk about this on my channel, that's my choice. But you can't go out and say you're in a public school, you're in a public setting. There are going to be times where you're going to have to teach something that you may disagree with. You go and you go and you study the theory of evolution. Like I've studied and learned about it in school. Guess what? Do I still believe in it? No, I don't. But that doesn't mean that we learn and we study from these things. It doesn't mean that we should stop speaking um, uh, the way that we teach about these different types of governments and understanding that our country is a form of democracy. It's not a direct democracy. This country is not literally called a democracy. It's called the United States. It's a republic basically, and a democratic republic is what Mexico is in some regards. So it's like, so you want to go in and really understand. Okay, so then let's talk. Then we can talk about Mexico because it's not a socialistic country. But we can still talk about universal health care because universal health care is part of that country now. It's literally a lot of socialistic ideas. Like some things, like you can still be a capitalistic society and still have some capitalism in your society and have socialistic things, um, and things like that. You have the difference in understanding that the those things and having different cultures and understanding. Like, look, if you really want to look at, been seeing a lot of these things right recently with English, different English speaking stuff, where you have American English, okay, where American English, when you look at chips, we usually call chips the things like Lay's potato chips, basically. Um, and we call fries fries. But when you go to the UK, you talk about England having different cultures and understanding, because when you go to the UK, they speak crisps, or what our chips are, and what their chips are fries. So it's basically um, when you look at the importance of the differences, and then you look at like we tell jelly jam. Well, some people in America will call it jelly or jam, depending on, like, you go peanut butter and jam, or peanut butter and jelly. It's it's the same thing in some regards. Like, you can say Jello, um, and certain things difference between going from that, and then even when you go to Australia, Australian English is different than American English and UK English. Like, there's different dialects in different language. Like, you could probably go to Canada and have a different speak a little bit differently, but you'll still have some understanding of what you're talking about, because those those are part of the understanding that if you speak Spanish in Mexico, but then you go speak Spanish in another country that speaks Spanish, they're going to have a slight different dialect for speaking it and writing it. You know, there's going to be slightly differences. It's the same thing with French. You have Canadian French, and then you have actual French from France, and different things. So different languages mean different things compared to a lot of those things. So when you talk about um, having cultural difference, you know, it's one of those things that free speech even is part of that. That we can learn and use that freedom of speech to learn about other things, and being able to have that knowledge of different studying of different governments, studying of different types of things, to understand that that's how things should be. Is we shouldn't be overly extending the removing of that. And then it's also, the other thing is that in the state of Florida, they're basically wanting to get rid of DEI and DEIA pretty much. They always leave the A off, the ableist. Um, Even though um, for it, so it's like they want to get rid of DEI and DEI events and things like that. It removes a lot of that, and that's still a form of free speech. Removing an event because you dislike certain, because you dislike DEI, then then basically you're basically telling people that you want it to be your way and only your way and only the way you want it to be done, and that way, and it's not right. Freedom of speech, it is right there in front of people. It's the same thing with getting rid of um, I'm just gonna do that because I'm not because the way I'm coming in, for it. But it's the same thing when you go and you look at Idaho and you look at these other places that want to ban pride flags from being displayed on a public property. Yeah, it's one thing to say that you don't want it flown at a federal at a state at a state thing. It's one thing. But then going out and banning it because you don't agree with the city flying that flag because it's a city municipal government or city owned, that's not right. You're basically telling that you only want it your way and only want it that way. It's some of the other things. Where are we at? Um, Whoops. That one's 15 minutes. Um, that's 20-minute trip time. Um, the other one's 15. So I'm gonna take the 15-minute pastime to get there. Um, so it's one of those things that you know, being told that you can't do something, being told that your your freedom for saying certain things is at risk because they want to get rid of the freedom. They want to take away the importance of have I'm gonna go this way. Um because it doesn't matter, I still need to go either way. But there's always this thing that, you know, you go and you are supposed to um be able to um as long as it does not directly harm you, it does not directly harm you learning about LGBTQ, it does not directly harm you about learning about another type of government. It does not directly harm you. um learning and growing from understanding about other types. Because if you don't understand and you want to remove talking about it, then guess what? All you're doing is basically then you're not going to have the younger generation or them being able to understand what these countries are and understanding how their government works and how things of how these types of government work, so that you know that maybe somebody who's going to become the next president might be might not be able to understand what's goes on and what these things are. There's going to be people that are going to be me for it, and I'm just sick and tired of people banning certain topics, certain things that shouldn't be studied, because all it is just gonna make it even worse, make it even people want to study it even more. And banning it because you don't like it is not what God wants you to do. God wants you to learn and grow and be able to understand certain things and be able to do it. Now, yes, may not like the LGBTQ standpoint. You may not like those things, and that's fine. You don't have to be in agreement with it. You don't have to agree on these topics and that, but you don't have to um but you shouldn't um uh you shouldn't get rid of it because of that. And yeah, it may be going against your religion, but what you should be doing is learning about other religions so that you can maybe combat these other religions, to maybe get people to become part of your religion, to understand that, and having those differences being studied and being talked about, you know? Looky there. We actually got one. We actually got it right this time. We haven't gotten to getting our own trailer yet. Um but you go ahead. And it looks like that it is only one way. Um but I'm not quite for sure. Yeah, it's only a one way. Um Whatever. Sometimes I make those mistakes and things. And that's why a lot of times when you decide to get rid of pride sidewalks, when you start trying to get rid of things that you don't like at a state level, you're basically taking away the First Amendment. You're reducing that. Basically, what it comes down to it, when I look at the different parties, I'm not saying that everybody in this party is like that, but most some people on the right want to take away your freedom to speak. Um, and some people on the left want to take away your guns. And they're basically those two fundamental portions should never be taken away. Those fundamentals. There are people that want to be able to debate. They're going through right now in the Supreme Court, taking up a case that allows for whether or not you can get a geofenced warrant to get for protesters, for people, for allow you to track your phone on places like that. And is that right for us to be tracked? No, I don't think we should be tracked at all. I'm finding myself maybe switching from Florp again, switching browsers again because of that reason, and switching to Mulvad. Um, and utilizing Mulvad as the default um, place to start doing my stuff through it. Like, I don't like being tracked. I want to remove my fingerprint as much as I can, and take that initiative to to be able to take that point and have that freedom to not be tracked and freedom to speak my mind in everything. Like I'm one that, oh, they don't want me, basically, like, my channel would be taken away. Could be taken away because of this bill, because of the Mamdani bill, because of reducing our freedom to speak. And of course, for anybody who has not seen or understood, I was looking up a couple of things earlier related to Donald Trump. One thing that he basically talked about, that he is the first president that has been assassinated, assassination attempt on his life. First president to receive three. There have been plenty of attempts on presidents in the past. Um, but he has the one that has been attempted at least three times. At least. That has been attempted three times on a president. Now, that does not mean one was, technically, it's actually really only two on a sitting president. Trump has only had two. Um, One, I believe it's actually one as a president, if I'm not mistaken. Two was when he was running for office. So technically, no. Um, so basically, that was a pretty much basically a lie right there, because he was the There have been plenty of people that have had attempts on their life after the fact of being president. Um, but only most of the time, there's only been like one or two attempts on a sitting president. On an actual president, there's only been like a couple that have been assassinated. Um, on that. But because, like, there's only because, like, that was a bold-faced lie right there. Um, but of course, you could look at it that, if you really look at it and say that you look at Trump, and then basically, yeah, you could say that it's been the most, but unless I don't know anything about his first term, because I never really spent a lot on his first. Um, on it, I don't know if he is that one person that, you know um, is there on that process of learning or being part of the process of things that go on. But lower security, you would think that you would have higher security because he's the president. You would think that they would at least be willing to do it when, the correspondence dinner that uh like you would think that as somebody who is in office that they would at least have better security. Of course, like I said, I don't like to see anybody um, be hurt because of the because of the dis because I dislike them, because I dislike the way that you know I may disagree with people, I may disagree with Trump, I may disagree on things, but I don't wish ill on anybody to be hurt. I don't wish on anybody to die because of political reasons or political things. I'm not somebody that agrees with war. I'm not like war should never we should never been part of the Iran war, but we were partially pushed because of Israel. And and that's kind of not right, and it's not right to do it. The things that we shouldn't be doing, we shouldn't even be hurting Cuba because we dislike what Cuba's doing. You know, it's ridiculous. Yes, we have willing to disagree and willing to not do it, and we can put sanctions on these people, but enough that we should still be allowing them to live and having some prosper and some points in our life to really um to um I think, am I going the wrong way? Of course I am. Of course. No, of course I could go this way. Um, but why? But why? Okay, I don't know why I make that mistake sometimes. I just do. Um, but we should be at least be willing to make sense and actually be willing to um take care of one another and making sure that people are being taken care of and not being hurt because of these things. We shouldn't be separating families. We shouldn't be destroying lives because we disagree with certain things or because they've done illegal things. Like, yeah, okay, yes, there have been people that have been here illegally in this country, right? But there have been a lot of there's been a lot of people in this country that legal here are legal here, that have citizenship, that have these things, that have been taken taken by ICE, that apparently wants to be changed to do nice. I'm not going to call it nice. I'm not going to call it that. I'm going to stick to calling it ICE, just like I'm going to stick to calling X Twitter. I don't care, because these platforms, these places are not right. These people they're changing things to make it seem better. Okay, now of course, if X was bought out by somebody that was not Elon Musk and was just like Twitter, and we just switched it back to being like old Twitter a little bit, then maybe I'd call it X. But until then, I won't. Um, and things like that. It's Truth Social should really be called Lie Social because it's not really telling you the absolute truth. But that's the um, but you know what? I'm calling it Truth Social because that's what it's called. That's what the app is called. But Twitter X is the only platform that I'll call Twitter because if you go to twitter.com, it just takes you right to X. So it's like whatever. I'm still gonna call it Twitter. Twitter, but it's the same thing. It's like I should be able to have the right to be able to speak my mind in a way that I want to be able to say Twitter if I want to. I want to be able to say those things, and that's not right with freedom of speech. That's not right with me. You know, I right now have the ability to tell you about certain products. You know that I can tell you that when you go out and you shop or you buy things online, that I go out and buy a um, a product full of a product on Timu. I should be able to tell you the honest truth about these products. You know, like I said, I'm not going to be shopping on Timu after today, most likely. Um, and I'm not saying that I never will. I might at some point down the down some at some point in the future I may go back, but as of right now I don't. I don't shop on Shein. I have I have shopped there once and I bought a coat that was supposed to fit for me and did not fit me, and it was actually a lot smaller than it actually was for the product. Now, of course, this might not be anything in relation that you might find a product that, when you go out and you buy like Sugar Thrills, yeah, it might not be. It might be Asian sizing. It might not be American sizing. It might not be um, sizing based on things like that. And you got to realize that when you go out and you buy something off of these things, that if it says it's like it's an Asian size medium might be like a small, like might be smaller than the American size medium. Okay, because America is a little bit different than, like, you go to Japan and you need like different type shirt sizing. Shirts are different um, in the way that we do things. Like if you go out and you probably need like an XL shirt in Japan, you might not. It might be um, not an XL shirt in Japan. If you look at the sizing and doing things like that, that you can find these different things in the way that um, that we can understand that when you look at clothing, you look at things from other points and things like that. Yeah, they're going to be different. There's going to be some things, but then there are times where you go and you buy something off of, like I bought a couple pairs of shoes off of Timu that I bought a pair of shoes off of Timu that did not come in my size. It came in a size 7, not the normal size. Of course, sometimes people do get these sometimes products wrong, and it's not always um exactly what you get. Okay, but you should be able to get a replacement and things like that if necessary. If you get the wrong size, a wrong product, you should be able to get there. It's like sometimes, like, I go on ThreadUp and I saw um like sometimes you might get some wrong products, and that happens. Nothing when you're a place like that. Nothing is ever going to be perfect. Um, no place is. Um, and that's fine, and that's different than but if you end up getting the wrong product, um you should be able to at least be notified about the wrong product, okay, and things like that. And that does happen a lot with a lot of these things, and it happens. But if you get a product and you order a product and you consistently are ordering from that brand, you consistently get the wrong product, or a lot of things become broken through that process, then it's time to maybe just stop buying from that product. Nothing is ever perfect. If you consistently are getting problems, then don't. It's the same thing when you go with buying a computer. If you buy a computer and you buy this brand, the best thing is you can always buy better on these products. It's like if a $50 if you find a $50 2 terabyte hard drive, and it's a no name, it's a $50 drive, you might want to double check and make sure that you don't go out and buy just check Newegg. Check the major brands that most people know, like Team Group, Western Digital, Samsung, um, and some of those brands, and see what they're going for 2 terabytes. If you look at and you see that this is a no name brand, um, you might want to rethink your decision on that. Now, of course, if you find like a 2 terabyte and it's $50 and it's used, that's a little bit different than saying it's new. But if you're buying and says it's a brand new product, then you might want to reconsider buying products that are like that. Um, and things for that strict purpose. Um, to really okay, well, I thought this would be like a 3-lane road, but it's only two. Um, as soon as I'm done with this load, guys, I'm going to get off for today. Like I said, usually I like to go at least a minimum of an hour and a half in the afternoon. I'd like to go with at least a minimum of an hour to 2 hours in the afternoon, max 2 hours for anything. Um, on the products and these for streaming anyway. So but minimally, I always like to go at least about an hour and a half in the afternoons, because strictly um that's what I want to do, and making sure that you guys can get at least some content and some news and things. But then there is also this other thing that is really problematic um, with what's going on. Now, of course, I haven't checked this myself, but there is some DRM issues going on with PlayStation right now. Um, it seems to maybe not be quite true, but I'm not. But it's like I haven't done my due diligence and bought anything new. I did buy an upgrade to the Ultimate Collection, but apparently if you have PS4 or PS5 titles, and you have a license for it. Apparently you have only 30 days on. A guy pretty much found the code that allows for 30 days to basically always be online. To basically, you can be offline playing Call of Duty for, I mean, not Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is always online. You have to be online to play Call of Duty and Fortnite. But you want to, let's say you want to play Planet Coaster, okay? And you got 30 days to play that offline, and then you have to be logged in back online 30 days later to play that game. Is that right for Sony to be doing things like that? Is it right for games to require you to be online to play a single player content? No. I don't want to be tied around to single player games on things. I should be able to play games offline when I want to, not always have to be required to be connected to the internet for 30 days. Now, of course, if you're buying even physical games for that matter, um, games should not be a key on a disc. The disc should be giving you the full game. Um, if for things like that, no company should be putting game key cards. No company should be utilizing key discs. Okay, or in a similar fashion, because we shouldn't be tied to these platforms and these things with 30 days and being required to do it. It's the same thing. That goes on with a lot of these things. That's why I said I will buy only from two platforms, because I'm not gonna sit there and buy from Newegg. I'm not gonna buy Newegg. I'm not gonna buy from that. I will buy off of Valve and GOG. Um, for Steam and GOG, and those are the only two places that I will buy off of. Or and PlayStation. Those are the platforms that I will spend my money on, because Sony I will buy for games that are specifically related to that. Even if I was on still on Windows, which I am, I still won't buy from Epic Games. I still won't buy from other from these other platforms because of a couple of reasons. One, it's about the importance of keeping the community, doing what's right for the community in most cases. I'm not saying that Valve is perfect. Valve is absolutely the best thing to be utilizing, but uh there's probably the best thing um for everything to be always online. But that's just, you know, um it's not always the case. And not always is it DRM free. But at least but GOG does DRM free, so that's actually a good thing that I'm willing to buy games from them. It's always a good thing when companies are willing to work with the community and being there for it. Unlike unlike Epic Games, who is not there for the community. If they were there for the community, we would not be losing Rocket Racing. Yeah, we might not, like, they could shut down their own regular Rocket Racing, but allowing the community to keep those Rocket Racing going, giving them the opportunity to do that, is better than just shutting down a mode. A mode. You know, Epic Games, for what it's worth, there's some things that are right, but not everything is there as a perfect um being there as for perfect, being a perfect company. No company is 100% perfect. They don't, you know, that's why when you go and you look online and you're like, oh well, this company, like, you know, there's you can't always expect them to uh do what's right for the community. Not every company can, and sometimes like they listen, but they just can't do it because of X limitation, or because of, some loud person in the room is basically saying, hey, this should be done in this game and it should be done this way, when the rest of the community or the rest of the people that are part of that disagree. And there are a lot of times where, um, you look at Euro Truck and American Truck. It's like, yeah, I would love to see us be able to couple these, to get out of our trucks and be able to couple our um, trailers together. But it's like, this isn't quite 100% needs to be realistic. Okay, we don't need to have 100% realistic games in our life. It doesn't need to be completely 100% um, to be realism. You know, yeah, there are games out there that if you want more realistic things, then yeah, this game can become realistic as close as we can. Um, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with a game like this with having some things being perfect in, but like if but not everything needs to be that way. Not everything needs to be perfect. If the vision is being created and the vision is being stuck to in that regard, then fine. I love that about about it. This is one of those game companies that it's not 100% a perfect game. There are imperfections within this. There's no game is perfect in my book. I have not found a single game that has 100% to 10 out of 10 perfect score. Um and that's this platform is not perfect. There is um you go and you look at a product that is out there not being perfect because Call of Duty is not perfect, but they're like, for me, like all the games that I have played so far. I haven't played every game that I own, but so far there's only been like one game that may not be on my list of things that I look at this and objectively, that is it right for me? Is it a great game? Is it something that I regret buying? Yeah, I have sometimes where I do buy games that I regret buying. That I regret um doing that. But it's like Dynasty Warriors. Like, I'm not gonna buy another Dynasty, probably play another Dynasty Warriors. Um, that do I regret playing it? Yeah. I don't wanna. Wait, am I going? Whoops. I thought I was going back that way. No, we're going up this way. Um, where a lot of these games are not perfect in its entire I think, but playing Dynasty Wars is not for me. Does not mean that it's a game for somebody else. It's what I look into is I look at it is the game. When I look at things objectively within games, I don't put an objective with banning, or put an objective that basically says, look, um, that objectively, I look at the game and say, okay, does it fit well within the scope of that genre? Does it are they really keeping it to that? Like, okay, I will tell you, I don't like horror, but that doesn't mean that, you know, I'm not a big fan of horror games. I don't mind playing zombies. I don't mind playing some games that may be horror, but I'm just not a big, huge fan of horror. That doesn't mean that, um, Resident Evil is a bad game. It's just, for me, when I look at it objectively, when I play a game, is it something that I can sit down and enjoy as a thing that's like, I go back and I will tell you, I've been trying to go back and play Parasite Eve. I've started playing the game and I just can't get into it. Okay, it's one of those games that I will probably never buy because of it, and because it's not that it's an RPG, but because it just does really grosses me out a little bit. I've tried to start it every time, and I'm just like, no, this isn't for me. This isn't. And I've started trying to play through emulation. I bought it. It's actually one of those games I regret buying myself through digitally. Um, on it, and that, but that's like, I don't really have very, very few games where I've basically said, you know what, I regret buying it. I regret doing those things. I will tell you, like, I went and I was looking today for the other day, looking for some games that I was going out there. Like, I just opted in and bought DLC for EA. Went out and literally used a thing to buy DLC for Need for Speed Unbound. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, I'm not gonna buy games from EA anymore. But that doesn't mean that, like I said, like, I wasn't gonna buy games off of EA anymore because of who currently owns it. Well, like I said, it depends. It's going to depend really heavily on that. It is like, I would, like, if we had racing games, like, there's a ton of racing games out there, but I basically said that previously, that you know but I've kind of basically said, you know what, as long as the game is really well put together and really well enjoyable, and they're still willing to keep the LGBTQ narratives going and keeping the importance of these things, then I am okay with um games being um being built the way that they are. As long as, like, I don't, like, look, like, there's going to be some things that I will not pick up EA stuff, not because mostly I do play a couple of EA titles, but when it's only exclusively football games, where can you play football games? The only place you can play it is through EA. You cannot play it anywhere else. You cannot go out and play a dedicated football game because EA has monopoly on that. EA has NFL. EA has taken that. I personally, it's whatever. Okay. But there are going to be times where, if it's only exclusively to that type of thing, where I'm kind of like interested in it, but I'm not. Um, you know, but there's plenty of racing games out there. Like Forza. Like, I've been thinking about it, but it's like, I don't want to support Microsoft in any way. That if there's racing games out there that I can play, I can go out and play Need for Speed. I've been playing Need for Speed forever, You know, I basically pretty much played Need for Speed since I was pretty much young. I played um, Need for Speed Underground. I've played that. I have played Need for Speed Underground 2. I have not played Need for Speed Underground 2, but as when from there, but I have played Underground 2. I just never owned those two games. But I have played Need for Speed Carbon. I have played Need for Speed Most Wanted. I have played um, Need for Speed Unbound. Not Need for Speed Unbound. Trying to think of. I played Need for Speed Undercover. I have played Need for Speed The Run. I have played Need for Speed uh, and actually Need for Speed The Run's actually one of my favorite games of all time. Um, One of the other Need for Speed games that I really like. But I have played Need for Speed Payback. I have played Need for Speed Most Wanted for own that game, the new one, not the old one. And a lot of these other Need for Speed titles, through Heat and Unbound. And to be honest, no, really, not a lot of Need for Speed games really make the cut of being top tier racing games. Like Need for Speed, like the top tier racing game of all time for me, that is considered like that straight, um, straight top down, not top down, but um, uh, like Need for Speed is Midnight Club. Midnight Club is absolutely better than Need for Speed. It is superior to that game. I've played I own Need for Speed Midnight Club Dub Edition 3 remake, the Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition remix. Like I love that game. Absolutely the best racing game for to date. Compared to everything. Now that I've played. Now I have not played any Gran Turismo game. I have not played any Forza game, or and I have not played the crew enough to really have that understanding of playing those games. But at the same point, at the same time, um, there's a lot of genres out there of video games that do not deserve, that need to be always online. Like I shouldn't have to be online, always online to play um, a game like Need for Speed, like when it's single player. I don't need to be online to play a campaign on a single player campaign. I should not be always online to be able to play um, play games in any shape or form. I should not be required to to do that. It's one of the worst things that killed SimCity. I will tell you, SimCity died. I'm never. I pretty much basically, EA has done not the greatest when it comes to their games lately. A lot of their games have been basically not good. Um, I'll tell you, like I go and play Battlefield. Like I can get behind Battlefield, but I'm still not, like I still am not somebody that likes um modern Battlefield. I have gone back and played older Battlefield. I played Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. I actually own those, I believe. Um, and I believe I may be wrong. I think yeah, and I knew I owned Battlefield 2042. I've played owned Battlefield 1, and played Battlefield. I think I played Battlefield 5, and I still am not convinced with Battlefield, the newer title Battlefield. I pretty much basically tried Battlefield 6, not for me either. Um, but that's just the thing is like, and call it, and to be honest, when when you look at older Call of Duty, like I like older Call of Duty, like older Battlefield, and not in a way. I will tell you, like I haven't played any Battlefields between 4 and 2042 except for Battlefield 1 and 1. Um, and then I played every Battlefield after that. Um, and I still think Battlefield is not the greatest title, but it Medal of Honor, to be honest, is better than Battlefield. Medal of Honor is better than Call of Duty for a lot of games that really do. And to be honest, I can go back and go and play on a PS2 game, you know, that is there as a important as an importance on it. And there's an important thing that I really pick and choose and really when I pick games, I don't pick a game based on the genre itself. Okay, because if I really did pick games based on genres and just rated them based on their genre, um, purely, I can. You can rate them purely how will they fit with that genre, but you can't really do that with every game because some games like maybe racing, but it may be a top-down racing. It is to fit that genre and things. I really pick and choose and rate these games a lot for um whoops um I rate these genres based I rate these games based on um mechanically. I rate them based on how well are they able to be um how playable are they, how graphically um how the graphics set up in the game. Not talking about whether, if I rated a game based on graphics, I don't rate it based on the style of graphics. I just rate the graphics based on glitches, things that are nowhere in any way, shape, or form. Um, like I don't rate it based on, how is this kind of like Final Fantasy, for example. I don't rate Final Fantasy 1 based on the graphics of Final Fantasy 15 and say, "Oh, that game's trash because that graphics is horrible. I can't stand that graphics." No, I do it based on if I load into a game like Call of Duty, Black Ops 7, and I'm loading in and I'm having seen graphic where I can see people but I can't see the graphics, or I'm having graphical glitching, then I will tell you that I have those things like that, um over graphical, like things like that. Broken games that tend to get broken, games that, you know and if a game is like that, then I don't play those games. I literally stop playing those games for that reason. Now that doesn't mean that I go out and completely stop playing a game um because that game is horrible, or um because of the graphics. Like if there's some minor graphical glitches like in here, like I've seen minor graphical glitches when I go and into tunnels where, okay, it's flickering. Well, that's some problems within the game. But if it's constant, if it's a constant thing, or I'm constantly getting annoyed by it, I will put it down. Like, I'd rate like this mod for Project Japan. Specifically, if we rated it entirely, I would probably say a 9 out of 10. Why? Because that there's only one problem that I have with this mod, and that is the graphical glitching that goes on within some of these tunnels. The graphics that should be better suited um, within it. Um, and being able to follow um, certainly be able to follow the path of the the games and making sure that gameplay, like the gameplay in this is fantastic. Your like to be honest, your truck gets a 9 out of 10 as well. An American truck gets 9 out of 10. It's literally one of the best video games that I have played in a long time. Final Fantasy, like, to be honest, like, if we go and look at the literally top 10 games of all time, Final Fantasy VIII is on that list, but that's the only title that makes that top list. I know I've said this before that, you know, but Final Fantasy VIII has a 9.5 out of 10 a because of the importance of um slightly the draw system. The draw system in that is just annoying, but it's enough that I can get over it and not be so that it's not so bad. And drawing, like, but it's that, and that's the only thing that I have gripe with it. If I have one thing gripe with it, it will be between 9 out of 9 or 9 out of 9 or a 9.5 out of 10. Right there. If I have multiple things, then I tend to put it down a little bit lower. Um, you know, but it's the only other games, top 10 games that do get that rating is this game. Um, City Skylines, the first City Skylines, gets a 9. Um, this game gets a 9. Your truck, American truck, gets a 9. Um, okay, I wonder, is it this one here? Yes, it is. Okay, so now we got 1.7 in money. Um, of course, we're not ever um, putting games for. Uh, I never really put games at a low grade. It's most games that I have played so far have been given pretty much basically, except for one, has been given a 7 out of 10 or better. Um, except for maybe a couple of games that get that lower grade than a 7. And most of the time, if it gets a 7 or better, it's going to be pretty much basically me saying, I love that game. I will be willing to play that game again, at least. Maybe try it again to see if I really, really am going to put that there. And Final Fantasy 1 is going to get that same treatment where it's up there within like those games where I'd play it again. I'd go back and play it again. It's a gorgeous game. It's what it's worth and things like that. But there's only a couple of games out there, and Dynasty Warriors is one of those that I've played. Don't like it. Not a big fan of that. Where it's just right there. It's like a 6 out of 10. Don't like the story. Wasn't great. The hack and slash kind of feel not for me. But that's just not for me, and that's fine. Um, the only other game that would get that treatment that I'd probably never go back and play again um, would probably um, would probably um, be the point of Age of Empires. Not Age of Empires. I think I don't know if I actually have the game here. Um, um, that I would not go back and play again would be the Final Fantasy, um, the GameCube edition, the GameCube version of Final Fantasy. Not for me. It's not one of those games that I will not go back and play again. I am not going to pick up that game because that game's not for me. But that doesn't mean that you know games that really do are like Surviving Mars and City Skylines, Planet Coaster 1, Planet Coaster 2. I had some problems with it at the beginning. It got a 7 when I first tried the game out. It's now kind of maybe an 8, just with the current way it's going. But those are kind of things where games can sometimes become better over time if they are, well, decently done and things like that. But anyway, so I really don't put a lot of games in there. And Euro Truck and American Truck are within the top 10 games. I put them together because they're basically same company, same game, same premise. Just one's done in America and the other one's done in Europe. Um, the reason why they do get a 9 is because of one modification, modding the being able to access mods in the game um, through um, not being able to click and drag the mods when you go in. For example, if we go, let's save the game here real quick to show you guys what I mean. Today's the 27th, so we'll go PJ 27. No, PJ 427 26. For example, um, I don't know why I quit the game. I should have actually went to title, but um, the one thing I do have a gripe with it, if I go into my mods, I should be able to click and drag on the active mod. I should be able to do that, but I can't do it. Some of the other things is when I am um when we have the uh modifications to um do that kind of is there, and then jobs. Sometimes when you have a job, they don't quite tell you, hey, this job's gonna end. You don't have enough time to go pick up this job from, you're here and you have like 10 minutes. That job's gonna end in 10 minutes. Well, you are here at this location. They don't tell you that you don't have enough time to go and grab that job because the job ends in 10 minutes and you have a 30 minutes to get there to pick up that job. They should really be more thinking where to picking up a job. Not saying that you pick up that job and then you have that job may close within the time that you don't have enough time to pick it up. I think that would be or even and even to take that job and being able to finish it within time but I know that sometimes you pick up these jobs and you think you're going to be able to get it done and you won't. Maybe it's just part of the thing, but that's just small gripe that I have with it. Um, and not always working with mods and maybe uh uh having some of the uh mods that are part of the um or mods that when you get in and you alter a truck when you have the skin for that truck should not be um set there for it. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm going to get off. It is time for me to get off. Um, so if you guys want to hit that subscribe button here on YouTube, it's greatly appreciated. We'll be back tomorrow for some Final Fantasy 13. Um, and you guys can also hit the bell notification with the all. It is greatly appreciated. And some people do care glass, to be honest. And also, if you guys want to catch out my Call of Duty tonight, make sure you guys are followed here on Twitch. We are pretty much live every day, twice a day on Twitch, once a day on YouTube. So, anyway, we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!